Hello gardeners, and welcome to Native Plant Channel, where today we are going to be talking about the stars of the fall garden, and they are spectacular for so many reasons, and that is asters and goldenrods. And the reason that they are so spectacular, or one of them, is because they are providing not only color and beauty but also food for our native bees, butterflies, and insects at the end of the season when not much else is blooming. At this time of the year, so many people are lured by the color of chrysanthemums and go out and buy pots of chrysanthemums. But you don't need to spend your money on chrysanthemums when by buying asters and goldenrods you're going to get a huge range of colors, and you will also be benefiting our ecosystems, and they will not have to be replanted year after year the way that mums are. You won't have to go out and get them. You're going to have plenty of plants available to you. In this video, you're going to see that as long as you have at least 3 hours of sun a day, there are asters and goldenrods out there for you. And 3 hours of sun is not a lot. We'll also learn about these plants that will do well in everything from dry soils to wet soils. So there's something out there for you that can help you create an excellent ecosystem right in your own garden and benefit our insects. This is wrinkled-leaved goldenrod, also called rough goldenrod, and it's called wrinkle-leaved because the leaves have very deep veins that give the appearance of the leaves being somewhat wrinkled. They also have hairs on them which make them feel a little bit rough, but as you can see, it's quite beautiful. It can grow up to 5 feet tall and has these sprays of flowers. This particular one is a cultivar. This one is Fireworks. It is rhizomatous, so it does spread by rhizomes, and it can also reseed. So I occasionally have one that turns up in another part of the garden, but it hasn't particularly been particularly aggressive. So it's lovely. The bees love it. And goldenrods, just in general, support over 100 species of caterpillars, and the seeds feed birds and small mammals. So it's important not only for bees, but as a plant that will feed many caterpillars. They are also important to monarchs in fall, as the monarchs migrate and goldenrods are available late in the season for them to nectar from. Sometimes people are afraid of goldenrods because they are familiar perhaps with Canada goldenrod, which spreads way too aggressively. So you may not want Canada goldenrod unless you have like a meadow where you'd really like something more aggressive. But there are many better behaved goldenrods. There's, for example, if you're looking for something that's not at all aggressive, you can use licorice-leaved goldenrod or showy goldenrod, or I'm going to be showing you one of my favorites shortly, which is reef goldenrod. By the way, goldenrods do not cause hay fever. Hay fever is usually caused by ragweed, which blooms at the same time, but some people still repeat this myth even though it's incorrect. There is a legend that having goldenrod by your front door marks you for good fortune. It's often associated with treasures and hidden treasures. Now, goldenrod is a medicinal herb, or has been used, particularly by Native Americans, to treat fevers, wounds, and other ailments. Henry Ford even found a goldenrod that produced latex that could be made into a high-quality rubber. If you are concerned that goldenrod will get too large for you, or still concerned about it spreading, here's one that I highly recommend. This one is at least 5 years old, possibly going on close to 10 years old, and has been in the same spot, never divided, just forms a clump. You can probably notice the bees that are flying around and drinking its nectar. And again, goldenrod is very important, especially for those specialist bees that can only use pollen from certain goldenrods. This one has been in the same spot. Another wonderful thing about it is that it grows in sun or shade. So if you have a shady area that gets at least 3 hours of sun a day, 3 hours of sun is probably enough for this particular one, reef goldenrod, to flower and look lovely in your garden, while also feeding our bees and also our caterpillars, because we have to remember that goldenrods feed something like 100 different caterpillars. So you're providing not only pollen and nectar, but also a food source for the caterpillars, which are so important in our food systems, and they are the ones that feed our birds. Friends, before moving on to discussing our beautiful asters, I just want to talk about specialist and generalist bees for a bit. So generalist bees are bees that can take pollen from any plant that produces it to help feed their babies. But we also have specialist bees that can only take pollen from a certain family of plants or certain plants. Bees don't specialize on nectar. They can nectar on any plant that produces it, but some of them do specialize on pollen. And another reason why it is so important to have asters and goldenrods in your garden is that there are 15 different bees that specialize on the pollen of goldenrods, while there are 13 that specialize on the pollen of asters. So by having these plants in your garden, you can help those specialists that would not be able to produce their babies on anything else. Here you are looking at a new clump of reef goldenrod that I planted in the spring. Think about what a blessing it is for insects to find goldenrod in your garden. Here it is in October, and they're able to find food because you will be the one who is providing it for them. So think about how happy they will be and what you're doing for them to be able to sustain their life cycles. Asters are such amazing and beautiful plants that you can find them even in the big box stores. Just be careful, because there are non-native asters as well. So you want to make sure you are purchasing native ones when you go out there and get them. They are so important because they feed the caterpillars of over 100 different Lepidoptera, meaning butterflies, moths, and skippers, and including the very beautiful small pearl crescent is one of the ones that uses the leaves of asters to complete its life cycle. They are just absolutely gorgeous plants, and you can get them in a variety of colors. Our native asters can be found in different sizes, from as low as 1 foot tall to about 5, maybe even 6 feet tall under the right growing conditions. And such an interesting thing, they lure their pollinators, and actually they guide their pollinators to knowing which are the ones that have already been pollinated or not. If you take a look at asters, it is believed that the ones that have the yellow centers, and the yellow centers are actually the true flower, if their centers are still yellow, it means that they have not been pollinated yet. As they change colors and turn darker, that means that those flowers have already been pollinated. You can find them in purple, like this New York aster, which doesn't grow quite as tall, especially because it's like in a semi-shade location here for me, to taller New England aster. There's heath aster and many other kinds of asters. This is another one where you can find ones for all kinds of conditions, from sun to shade and dry to wet. So whatever your conditions are, there is an aster that will help you and that will grow in your garden. Gardeners are land stewards who care about the earth, who care about the environment, and who want to give back. They do many beneficial things right in their own landscapes. They learn about native plants and plant them so that they can protect our beautiful and necessary butterflies, bees, and other insects. Thank you for being a land steward. Thank you for being an ecosystem manager who is creating better habitat to protect our declining insect populations, because we are in an insect crisis where we are losing so many of our native insects that we need for our own survival. For sun-challenged gardeners, if you can squeeze in about 3 hours of sun per day, you can grow heart-leaved aster or white wood aster or blue wood aster. White and blue wood aster will also tolerate the dry shade under trees. Thank you for watching Native Plant Channel and for being part of the solution that is helping to mitigate our insect crisis and helping to create a better world right in your garden. Please subscribe to Native Plant Channel so that you can be notified when a new video is posted. And also check out our Facebook page where there's more for you to learn and you can be part of the conversation there. Thank you for improving our ecosystems, for managing your land to create beauty and life. Have a great day.